We are rolling. Hello, it is Sunday, March 28th, and here is your reading. The question you wanted to explore is, should I keep teaching after this school year finishes, or should I change my job? And the two other things that the other possibilities that you were looking at are working at HR, or in general an office environment, and starting a small candle business. You know what? Now that I'm saying that out loud, I don't even, let's just say, like, let's start saying candle business. Why say small? Like, you probably want it to grow. So let's not even use the word small, right? So I've got all sorts of cards out here. So that 9-digit number that you gave me, that you meditated on your question with, I used that numerologically, and that transformed into the numbers 30 and 45. And it's kind of interesting, these numbers, that like structurally, right? Because like 30 is like every house in the zodiac is 30 degrees. 45, you know, they're both angular sounding. So 445s make a square, all sorts of stuff with these numbers. So that's interesting. But I don't know what your age is, but like, if these numbers mean anything to you, 30 and 45, if that's the birth year of somebody, if it's the age of somebody in your life, if it's an address, part of a phone number, area code for a phone number for someone, just think about that to see if that manifests in your life somehow. Okay, let's get started. So I'm going to be using a new deck today that I just got a couple days ago. So I'm not really well versed in it. So we're going to see what happens. So I might need the book, which I have handy, but we'll see what happens with this. And my old standard here are the Gods and Titans and Goddesses and Sirens decks mixed together. So that's what we're looking at here. And then my tarot cards are just standard Rider-Waite. So. Or I should say Pamela Coleman Smith, better. Okay, so let's see. So this was the 30th card. This is the tarot card. I'm going to leave this card until the end because I like to, the one that you picked for us, I like to leave it to kind of sum up the reading at the end. And the Oracle card here from the Stacey DeMarco decks, I like to pull to set the tone for the reading. Freya is irresistibility. Okay, that's interesting. So that's kind of like the tone is irresistibility. And I can see that manifesting in more than one way. I can see irresistibility coming up being like bidirectional in terms of its the attractiveness. Like, what do you find irresistible? But also in terms of, like, you know, since this is about work, do you know one of these industries, the people involved in them, or whatever, to find you irresistible? So like, have you made homemade candles in the past for like family and friends and given them as gifts, and people cannot stop talking about them? Do your students love you? Like, and do they, like, you know, when you walk in the room, do they all stand up and like gather around you in some way? Or, you know what I mean? So where are you irresistible? This is something that we need to think about during the reading. And then let's look at the Shaman's Dream Oracle over here. Did I show I can't remember if I showed the box. So the Shaman's Dream Oracle, I feel like, let's use this card this was kind of the tone of the reading. Let's look for the perspective now. What's the perspective that we're looking at here? Oh, interesting. Okay, so the farther gate, this is a bold step forward. So this is kind of like, the energy of this card resonates for me kind of like when you get a lot of major arcana cards in a reading. It's saying that basically this is going to be like a milestone decision for you in your life. Bold step forward. Bold step forward too implies that it won't be like whatever is going to come up for your highest good is probably not staying with teaching. It's going to be making a bold step forward. You're already teaching, so that's kind of implying where the reading's going to go already. So let's start on the tarot then. Okay, and wait, there's your card. Okay. Okay, let's see, like, let's kind of look just fundamentally kind of what's going on. Okay, oh. Okay, so already this really resonates with the irresistibility, so I like it. Okay, so kind of like if we look at this as a sentence or three sentences, like what's been going on, what's going on, what's going to be going on, that kind of like tone. We have the Fool reverse, so I feel like part of the journey that you've had already to get where you are, to be the teacher, this is telling me that, you know, you've already had to take actually a bold step forward in the past. The Fool is all about taking a bold step forward. However, I think something about it was tough for you, right? We got the reversed energy. So I feel like somehow making the entry into your teaching and where you've been in terms of your career lately, there have been some grand steps forward. Maybe there's been some missteps, or they've just been, the steps forward have been tough in the past. Something about it has been tough. Looks like in the present moment, you're just keeping your nose to the grindstone. And actually, I know you're not a native English speaker. Maybe you don't know that expression. So it looks like you've been working diligently. It looks like you've been working hard. It looks like you've been focused. And this is like it's the pentacle, so it's about your livelihood. So it could be that you're just focusing on paying the bills right now. You're focusing on keeping a stable home and things like that, as expressed through your work. So, but where you're headed, I really like this. You got the star, and this star is all about where you shine. Like, you know, it's about. Oh, I'm going to pull, you know what, I'm going to pull the previous card. I have an extra deck here that's in order, so I can just kind of tell the story of the progression. So the card immediately before the star is the Tower, right? So the Tower is about everything having to, like, you have to clear away everything that's been built up over time, and everything has to be broken down to its foundation again. Oftentimes people feel that that's a dark time in some way, like a troublesome time or whatever. Most people don't like this card, right? The Tower. So the next card in the sequence, after this period of darkness, now the star is that first glimmer of light, and the sequence goes star, moon, and then sun. It gets brighter, 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 right? So this first glimmer of light now that you're having, after you've you're peeling things back, you're taking things down to the foundation. This is like, again, kind of enforcing that there's a step forward and there's a newness. And I feel like we're headed towards one of the new decisions, definitely. And again, like star, it's just kind of like literally in English, when we talk about movie stars and famous people as being stars, it's like, it's about shining. People who shine. Where do you shine? Where are you irresistible? So this is all kind of resonating really well. I'm going to pull a few more cards here, and I'm going to pull, let's see, we're going to pull like path cards for you now. We're going to pull a card for what does it look like? What's the energy look like staying with teaching? What does the energy look like working in HR? And then what does the energy look like for your candle business of any size? That's interesting. They're all reversed. Okay. Okay, so I feel my first impression is that the HR looks pretty good, but it looks like no matter, well, we're in a pandemic right now, so everything's kind of blocked in terms of energy, but all three have blocked energy. All three are reversed. So whatever your bold step forward is, it's not going to be easy. And you know what? I'm going to pull one more card right now just to take the temperature read. The fourth card, I drew a card, and it's also reversed. Anyway, the fourth card, I'm going to say, is there another possibility that we're not considering here? So I just kind of want to take an energy read on that. Okay, so so this bold step forward, it's going to be tough, but ultimately the energy here is right side up. I feel like it's whatever path you choose, it's gonna be good. But I feel like there's going to be difficulty no matter what path you pick. So I think that's why these are right side up, but the overall path, difficulties on the path. So let's see. So the card for sticking with teaching, you know, you can look at this card two ways. Like you can look at this card as every card has a light side and a dark side. So the dark side of this card is the more common one that people use, which is about deception. It's about theft. It's about being cheated on and those sorts of things. So thinking about where you're going to be teaching, you said stick with teaching. I don't know if that meant sticking at the same place, but I don't know if there's any treachery or any sort of backstabbing where you teach right now. So that could be part of the expression of staying with teaching, could be that. The light side of this card, the positive aspect of this card is kind of like freedom fighting almost, right? There's a guy here, you know, holding these swords, and there's like a camp of soldiers in the background gathered around a fire, and he's sneaking with, for all we know, he's just taking what was stolen from him, and he's like a freedom fighter. So, you know, this could absolutely be a just thing, but I mean, the underlying current is still a conflict. This is swords. It's the energy of the mind. It's the 7. So we're kind of getting up in sword energy, which is things like anxiety and depression often when mental energy builds to an excess. So I feel like it's also 7 is like another beginning of a cycle too. So I think if you stick with the teaching, it's basically, you're no longer a novice at teaching because you've been doing it for a while. So the 7, 8, and 9, it's kind of like the beginning of a new journey where you're kind of more senior, right? So I think there's an element of, if you stick with teaching, it's kind of like starting a new cycle. But you'll have to kind of do your own analysis as to whether you think that sticking with teaching is really about being in an environment where there's treachery and deception and cheating and stuff like that, or if it's something about you being a freedom fighter, where it's like maybe the reason why you came to teaching was to, like maybe there's a story behind it, like, like you had bad teachers, so you want to be a good teacher for other people, or maybe you're living the dream of someone who died, or, it could be anything, following in someone's footsteps. So it could be that aspect too. And you'll have to read into that yourself. Now, HR is the world. So the world is your oyster. So I feel like the HR office job, yay. This is kind of like, you can look at the world as a culmination, right? A culmination of something. So I don't know if this culmination could be, getting to a place where there's financial stability if you think that this job will pay more than you get right now. I don't know how teachers are treated in your country, but like in America, teachers are not very well respected. So like, I don't know if that's the case where you are. So like, maybe this is like the part of the culmination here could be like working in a place where you get more respectability. It could be a lot of things, or it could be all of them, right? Because the world, it's like the world as a whole. So maybe you get everything you want in this job. So the HR one looks to be the most positive right now. The one with the candle business, I feel like it might be small potatoes. Small potatoes, like you did use the word small describing it. And the reason why I say that is that you got the 8 of Pentacles where you are now. And here is the 7 of Pentacles for the candle business. So these are both material cards, right? The material plane. So things like money, paying the bills, all of that stuff. So I believe the fact that you got a 7 here when you got the 8 in the present moment and the suits match, I kind of feel like that could be a step back for you financially in terms of your financial stability or whatnot. And so even though I kind of said at the beginning, let's not use the word small, it might stay small for you. So that's something to consider here. And then a fourth option, I feel like there may be a fourth option. This is not really a strongly resonating card for me. So it's a Wands card. It is about passions, desires, the flame within you and all of that stuff. But you've got the 2. So the 2 is like the planning card. It's the analysis card. So I feel like there could be yet another option for you, but the other option would basically I think it's basically just reflecting what you said in the question to me. And I asked, is there anything else after you gave me the option for HR and the option for the candle business? And you said, nope, there's nothing else. So I think what this card is just telling us is if there were another possibility that you haven't thought of it yet, you would need to do the planning, you would need to do analysis, you would need to really do some thoughts and meditation, you'd need to figure, a pros and cons list for different areas, so it's not there yet. So it's also the lowest numbered card you drew, right? I mean, it's the 2 for the minors here, so it's not developed yet. So, okay, so I'm thinking the HR looks like the best option for you. So I'm gonna draw 2 more cards. I'm gonna draw just some advice cards to see like how to proceed, since it's a big deal, right? So okay, so I drew like a what to do and a what not to do. Okay, so the what to do is the Queen of Wands. There's going to be some trouble with this, but basically the what to do is figuring out where you can, I'm sorry, my mind, I just realized, I think I said, because when it was still upside down, I said Queen, it's the King of Wands. So, this is basically now what to do is basically trying to figure out where of these choices your passions truly lie. So that's kind of like the work that you need to do here. So kings are basically in control and in command. And since the suit is about the passions and desires, your will, like what your wants and desires are, you really need to do some work in terms of figuring out what your desires are. Your true desires, like where, whatever job will feel like the least amount of work and toiling and trouble and all of that stuff, like that's trying to figure out how to make work a joy in your life, where it really sparks passion and fire inside of you. That's the job here in terms of the advice. And it sounds like it's going to be tough for you since it's reversed. Now the what not to do, you got the 6 of Cups. The 6 of Cups is a nostalgia card. So I feel like basically the nostalgia is looking back fondly on the past, right? So we've got the bold step forward, irresistibility and things like that. I feel like in order to move forward, what it's telling you not to do is don't dwell on the past. So whatever the past might be for you, it's like, well, I spent all this time getting a teaching credential, or I really like working with the kids, even though I maybe don't like the teaching part, or I really like the teaching part, even though I don't like the kids, or whatever. Trying to like look into the past and figure out what's all good about it. Just kind of like the way nostalgia is nostalgia, because when we look at the past in certain circumstances, we often kind of erase all of the bad times and focus on the good ones, and to get that warm, fuzzy feeling. So this is telling you not to do that. So yeah, that's the advice. And let's take a look at your card, the one that you drew, to sum up the reading. Okay, we've got the moon. We've got the next one in the sequence after the star. So it looks like to me, because you got the moon reversed in relation to this bold step forward and everything on the journey, the message to me here is that I feel like the bold step forward will be a little easier than the longer term prospects, because this is where did I still have the there? I still have the tower. So if we tell the story of the sequence here, you like cut away all of the extra stuff. You start with a new foundation. Where can you shine? Now, shining is like taking the new step forward. But when you get to the new step, you're starting over to some degree, right? Unless you've done these things before, which you didn't mention to me. But I feel like, when you start a new career, you're kind of starting over. You're starting at a lower rank, and it takes time to evolve. The moon is about evolution, right? Because you've got the crayfish coming out of the water, the huge beasts, and then the path forward between the grand towers, right? So the moon is about hidden knowledge, intuition, and evolution. And I feel like, you know, the evolution, that might be harder for you as you go even further on this journey in the new career. So it's something to think about. So as you're figuring out what aligns with your passions, not looking back, and you're looking at the next step forward, all of which look like they're going to be difficult. Figure out a little bit like how, once you get to this new job, what's the evolution? What's the long-term plan? And I think that's that's maybe the thing that, because it came up for you as the card that you drew, I'm wondering if you haven't really thought about that very much yet. Like, I just want out of the teaching, so these are the things I'm interested in. What's the long-term plan? I don't know if you have one. If you do have one, great, but I'm thinking you maybe don't. And I'm thinking that this is basically the telling you that, and maybe you're not a long-term planner. Maybe that's another part of why this is a reversed evolution card for you. Maybe you're just not that type of person. So I would definitely recommend that you examine your long-term plan. If you already have one, examine it. Make sure that it's sound, like the candle business, it looks like it's a little bit of a step backwards, stuff like that. But if you don't, it sounds like you really need to figure that one out. Talk to people who already have experience in these areas and whatnot, to try to figure out what's the end game, you know, going forward. How are you going to evolve in those positions? I think that's all I'm going to say. Thank you for the opportunity to read for you, and I hope you find all of this information useful. Take care.